Positive vibes.
OMG. Senegal, Gambia. Positive vibes.
Positive vibes. Positive vibes.
Put away the foolishness and stop acting like lunatics. The world is yours, don't you know whose it is? Problems is up to you to fix and know what the solution is. Make a sacrifice, Christ up on the crucifix. Fighting with your destiny, you're gonna bruise your fist. You got one life to live, don't let nobody ruin it. Things are moving slow, then put some power moves in it. Self-determination and motivation, you're moving it. Non-stop rocking it, come on, keep on doing it. I don't understand it, keep us in a can like tuna fish. Put the forces together, just like a lunar eclipse. Don't be lackadaisical, that's a lazy move. You gotta be crazy smooth in order to pay your dues. Play it cool, and within the day or two, you're gonna make it through. And
to another episode of The Conversation. This afternoon we have with you on this Valentine specials, we have the main man himself, Mr. Pata PJ. Pata PJ, welcome to The Conversation.
Thank you so much, Tembi. It is a pleasure having me on your program today. I am humbled. I am elated. I told you already. You have raised the bar so high. You've been having amazing people in this conversation, and I am glad to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, young man. Now I know it's Valentine's. You've got the sexy voice on, but we got to tone it up a little bit so that people can hear us. So, although it's a Valentine's special, we gotta get going. But Pata PJ, to be back to be serious, you're a very dynamic young man. I'm sure despite your age, you have a lot of respect in this movement, the fight that we're involved in to dislodge the dictatorship in the Gambia. I felt like you're one voice that we need to get out there so that the youths can listen to you. It is very important that we speak with some of our senior brothers, but also speak to the youth out there and some of the leading voices like yourself and people like Mr. Yunus Haidara. So I plan on engaging a lot of the young people. Just take a moment and just introduce yourself to the team. A lot of people know you as Pata PJ. Obviously, you do have a real name. What part of the Gambia you're from? Just kind of tell us a little bit about this young, dynamic young man that everybody knows on social media.
That's usually the problem introducing myself. But thank you so much. Those were pretty kind words coming from you. Yeah, I was born in Jara and I raised in Sukuta Kamba North, and I went to Armitage. Went to University of The Gambia. I came over to Bellevue University in Omaha, Nebraska, and I had my postgraduate degree in there anyway. But yes, my name actually, so many people ask me, my official name, my name is Pata Saidykhan. Pata Saidykhan is the name actually. So a lot of people be like, well, where is Pata from? Well, if you're from Jara, you will know that Pata is a pretty common name around the area. Yes, so Pata Saidykhan, Pata PJ is fine. PJ is fine. So yeah, and the thing is, when you look at what's going on in the Gambia, well, even when I was in the Gambia, I was kind of very involved in this political stuff. I would just go to campaigns and I would attend meetings. But then I was also writing some stuff. I think I did a couple of things on the Observer at the time under a student name or something, and one of them was published in my name when this University of the Gambia students and the student Union of the Gambia and NAPSA were having some issues. I published something in my name, and then I was condemning the government interference in the student politics. This was, I think, was in 2002 or something, if I could remember. But then activism has been something that I've always liked, and then that is what I want to do. I don't think it has much to do with age, but just the passion and the desire to be able to see justice prevail. That's what has been motivating. So in a nutshell, I think that would be me. I am not very good at describing myself anyway, but yeah.
Good. Well, I mean, that's a good start. And Pata, like I said, the focus here is obviously, the youth voice. people at your age are typically so busy with life, enjoying life, women, clubbing and stuff like that, which I'm sure you do your fair share of that. But you're also very dedicated to this movement. Just give us an idea. How does a young man like you get so involved in something that like this magnitude? What happened? How did Pata become so involved in becoming a youth activist like you are?
I think it has to do with your desire, what you want to see for yourself, and what you want others to get to. Like personally, let me get that off the ribbon here, Momodou. I do not have any personal desire or any intention to get anything personally from what I am doing. My goal has been to always see what is best for the Gambia. And then even as a child, anybody who knows me, they will tell you this boy was stubborn, but I was never one person who was ever unfair. Even when I was in Armitage, I was not really the best student. I was not that bright. I was whatever, just like an average student like anybody else. But I was always involved. I was in the Kunda Council for Cabo Kunda, and when I went to University of The Gambia, I also ran for student presidency, which obviously I did not win. But the motivation at the time was they were enrolling a lot of people at the University of The Gambia when it just started, transitioning from the University Extension Program to the University of The Gambia. So they enrolled a lot of people, and we were not having books, lecturers were not enough, and then we didn't even have classrooms. And I thought that was not good. In as much as they wanted to offer Gambians the opportunity to have education, home education in their own country, I was never wanting for them to compromise quality. So my point has always been, if you want people to come to the university, make sure you have resources first. And it was based on this that I ran for student presidency. And at the time, 2000, 2001, when Baba Job and all those people were in the student politics, when we had the campaign, this was what I campaigned on. Like the government of the Gambia cannot just open a university and have people in here when they do not have the resources. And based on that, they thought that was kind of a little critical at the time, and I did not care. My point was what I was doing was right, and I need to do it. So basically, to give you an idea of how I have been developing these kind of things. So when I get the chance to leave the Gambia and come over here, I was following people. Even when I was in the Gambia, I used to go to Gambia to read what people were saying. So that's how I got my enlightenment about the Gambia. And at the time, I was on, independent newspaper was on, Radio 1 FM was on too. So people had the opportunity to be listening to those things. So when I come to the diaspora, I found the coaches, the bankers, and then all of those people, the Central tourists who were on Gambia, a lot of people. So I started learning and see, you know what, my involvement could have been just more than sitting over here and talking to myself. And then that came with the proliferation of the social media when a lot of people have the voices now, and I started speaking and writing some stuff. So my desire has always been, as a youth in the country, the future of the Gambia is ours. We cannot just leave these things to all people. They also have a role to play, but we also have an opportunity now to make sure we step up to encourage people to say, look, you might be young, but that is not all. You have a voice and you have the role to play in our society. So my activism, this is where it stemmed from. It stemmed from my own desire to see what is best for the Gambia, but also the encouragement for the lot of Gambians who have always been here doing what they've been doing for 20 years, and we just have to go ahead and emulate and follow them.
Thank you so much, Sapata. You raised a very important point where you stated that obviously they opened up a university, but they didn't really have the I guess, structure to support it, for it to become an effective learning institution. Now, would you say, or would it be a fair statement to say that, should the Gambia even at that time have a university? Or do we even, right now we're producing a lot of graduates, lawyers and doctors and stuff. Does the Gambia really need a university? And are these graduates really what an average graduate in the United States is like? Are they learned? Do they know what they're doing? And are they actually ready to be doctors and lawyers?
Well, the thing is, whether the Gambia is ready to have a university or not, that question is very easy. Yes, because the world has evolved now. And as much as we do not have that many resources in the Gambia, obviously we do need a university. That's standard for every country. Now, the advantage that we have for some of us, like when they started the University Extension Program, which was a program that they had with a university, St. Mary's University in Canada, they were having lecturers from Canada going to the Gambia to go and lecture in there. That's what the university extension program was. It was an extension of the St. Mary's University. So when they started university proper, we still had some of those lecturers in here who were giving us lectures. I remember my first couple of years at university, we had some universities coming from the United States who went on sabbatical for a semester or two and lecture courses. I do remember that. So we do have the opportunity and benefit from that. Now, then as time goes on, they started having Gambians on, like, if you're working at the Ministry of Finance or Central Bank of the Gambia, or you were lecturing at GTTI, you can come to the university and take classes. So that's how they were doing. Now, when I was in the University of the Gambia, obviously we didn't have that many resources. Even the classrooms, we were using GTTI, MDI, we were going to Banjul, the School of Nursing and all that stuff. That alone was very exhausting because you can see you can have 3 classes in 3 different venues on the same day. It was extensive. It was very exhausting. Now, when it comes to teachers, then eventually we're having lecturers coming from Nigeria and then Ghana and all that stuff, which you know how Gambians are. Like, we do not this is not to show any disrespect to Nigerians, but we have always believed that these people are not actually usually qualified to take these classes or they doctor their degrees and come to the Gambia. Now, as time goes on, we can also see the admission to the University of the Gambia, the standard has been lowered because obviously the grade 12 results have not been very good and they still have to feed the university. This is what I have the problem with. My problem is they should not be able to compromise quality only because the results in the grade 12 were not good and they want to lower the entrance at the University of Gambia. There is nothing wrong with Gambia's size it is. There is nothing wrong with graduating, let's even say 200-300 people a year. I do have the problem with graduating 1,500 people a year. Even with that, if you look at how these people write, some of them even how they argue their cases, you can easily tell that quality has been compromised. When I came with my my degree in here, I went to university to enroll for my graduate program. They had me send my university to WES, that is World Education City, so they can evaluate and have it to the university U.S. standard. So I'll be able to. They will admit me to the university. So when that happened, they had to waive a lot of courses for me while I do my program. That is to say, I'm not saying that cannot happen to these people right now. I was saying by the time we went to the university, how we were graduating and what the standards were, I don't know how it is now. Now, what the Gambia is doing, I believe, my feeling, this is my personal thing, the University of the Gambia has become a political tool for this regime. This is why anytime they stand on the platform, they'll be like, for 30 years, this PDP government has been here, they could not even get you high schools. So now this is what they do. When they stand on the platform, the president brought university education to your doorsteps. People are going to the university. As expensive as it is, the quality has been compromised. That is just how I'm seeing it. If it were me, we can still have the University of Gambia, but I'm assuming it has been politicized so much that quality has been compromised. They just want to see the number of people graduating so they can flaunt it around. There's one thing to have a university education, but it's totally different to have a quality one where when you go out, you'll be able to be competitive to compete with other university products all over the world. That's what my thing is. So I really don't know. I cannot get it right now, but then if you have to ask me as an ex-student and looking from the outside, yes, my assessment is like quality has been really, really compromised.
No, but that takes me to my next question. Obviously, we're producing all these graduates. The university is supposed to be a nurturing ground to nurture young talents to start thinking independently and rationally. Now, if you look at the university campuses like the one that you went to and the one that I went to over here, and even if you look at, let's say, the fight against apartheid, most of that fight, the core was from the universities. University students are known to speak up, to express their views. We're not seeing that out of the University of the Gambia, which you said is politicized now. I mean, what do you have to say with that? When a young man that is learned to the point where you've graduated, you don't even understand, or you're not ready to speak against the dictatorship that's happening in the country. What does that tell you about the quality of education that we have over there?
MB, it is sad. When I went to the University of the Gambia, I majored in economics and management, right? And then, but at the time, you also have to see the APRC regime were not this repressive. So we had a degree of academic freedom where we can sit in class and discuss these kind of things. Now, my understanding is from some of the people who went to the university and I speak with them, they would tell me there are certain things in class that they cannot even discuss. I'm not even talking about political stuff. I'm talking about things that would actually make, like, if they're trying to speak on the topic of inflation, for example, they cannot even give the Gambia as an example. That is sad. That is very, very sad that we can be in our country an institution like the university where there should be a freedom for people to learn what is going on in the country, and they're even afraid. Even lecturers are even the ones who are censoring themselves because they don't want to be seen as trying to let these people know what is going on in that country. Now, put the economic side aside. The University of The Gambia is graduating people with degrees in political science and law. If those people are uncomfortable to sit in classrooms and discuss what is going on in the Gambia, I have not been there. When I was in the university, they didn't have law faculty, they didn't have the political science, whatever it is. But somebody was telling me that he was so sad that when they go over there and then they're discussing these things, you will be afraid to know that the next man sitting to you could have been an NIA agent. That you'll be afraid in articulating your point. If you say something, as soon as you step out of the class, you will not be arrested and charged with something because they might see you as an opposition. That is sad. That is not the essence of a university. There should be independence and freedom in that place. What people are learning should totally be independent of what the government is doing. If Yahya Jammeh's regime is repressive, and these people need to talk about a dictatorship in political science or even freedom of speech in their law classes and stuff, they should not be looking around, sitting over their shoulders or looking over their shoulders as to what might happen when they step out of that class. That is not the quality education we want in that country. So the dictatorship in the government in the Gambia is not helping what is going on in the Gambia because people are not learning what they're supposed to do. So when they graduate, that's why everybody, instead of going to be a private practitioner, they want to go and work for the government so they can censor themselves and they will not be in trouble. And it is stifling all creativity. Envy, when you go to universities in here, when you graduate and they hire you at your job, your manager or your department, they will give you the leverage for you to be able to take risk. Let's put it that way. They'll be like, MB, you are the manager in here. Let's see what you can do. Be innovative. Try something new. Try good ideas. When it fails, they can say that, you know what, fine, you tried. It was best. Now let's see how best we can mend the fences in here. In the Gambia, even civil servants in higher positions are not taking risks because nobody wants to be taken to jail for something that you did in good faith. Take the case of the guy who was arrested, the former minister, Momodou. Momodou was actually taken to jail, dragged to court and taken to jail because he had advised the president or the government or his department of something several years ago that resulted in a loss to the government. What is the point of an expert, a technocrat? All they can do is to advise. Now, if these people are seen that graduating in the Gambia and they know the cases of these people, in the University of the Gambia, when you graduate and they employ you somewhere, you just have to take directives and you're not going to be innovative. This is the defeat of purpose of the University of the Gambia. Our university has been watered down, and it angers me, it hurts me to see that the education in the Gambia has been this lowered, all because everybody is censoring yourself because you don't want to have a problem with the government. Yeah. It is sad. If I have it my way today, in as much as I want my brothers and sisters to have an education, university education in the Gambia, I would rather pay for them to go and learn somewhere the quality is going to be enough. When they go out, they will not be embarrassed or be competitive with their colleagues in other sister universities.
Thank you. Thank you, Pata. That's you definitely raised some very, very, very good points there. And I just wanted to make it very clear that this is not a session of just bashing the graduates of the Gambia University, or in any form of attacking anybody in particular. It is just a simple discussion because this is the things that we need to really talk about for people to really understand. It is one thing building a university, and it's another thing making sure that it is run like a normal university. But with all these graduates that are coming out, obviously, I think just recently they had like another 1,000 people graduate, lawyers, doctors, finance majors all over the place. Obviously, the government thinks that they're doing something, but could they also be brewing some kind of trouble for themselves with all these people coming out of college without any jobs and just sitting around there?
Well, if that's very likely too, but that's a possibility, but not very likely. And the Gambia had gotten to a point that imagine if I were in the university and I learned that it is my right after graduating to go and work anywhere and earn my living, I should be able to speak my mind freely. But while I am in school, I'm even afraid to do that. I do not see these people potentially protesting anything simply because the government is not giving them jobs. There is a likelihood, you never know. Anywhere you have seen a lot of educated people in there, at some point people will know their rights. And I do know they know their rights. They are just afraid to exercise or speak up against what is going on in the Gambia. But it is a potential trouble for any government that is graduating people after paying all that money on them, or they sponsor themselves and they graduate, they're not able to get jobs for them. So that risk is there. Now, we are having an educated population for people who are graduating. In as much as they want to be sycophants, these are people who learn a thing or two about themselves or their government while they were in the university. So the risk is always there, and I hope they know that it is their right to know that in that country they have the right to employment, and the government has the capacity or the responsibility to create that enabling environment that is going to get these people jobs. Look, everybody knows anywhere in the world, the government is not the one to give 100% employment. We all know that. But it is the responsibility of that government to create an enabling environment so when people graduate from school, whether it be in the private sector or the parastatals or the government sector, people should be ready to earn a living and they should be able to work in that country. What we have with this regime is that they just want people to be graduating. And when you graduate with a degree in economics or whatever, you go be a teacher, or you just sit around and applaud the government and wait for your chance to come and be employed. I hope, and I'm hoping sincerely, these people who are graduating and the government is not able to offer them a job should one day be able to challenge the government to say, look, you are not doing enough in providing employment for the many Gambians. I have seen people, 2-3 people who graduated from the University of The Gambia and they had taken the back way. That is sad, MB.
It is.
That's very sad.
It is indeed.
And you cannot blame them. We cannot blame these people at all because people want to make a good living for themselves and their families. If I am the head of my family or like the firstborn of my family and they spend all this money on me to go to the University of The Gambia and I graduate sitting around still living in my mama's house, my family is sitting in there and they cannot have any food. My mom is leaving every morning to go to the market and find something. I have my degree. Personally, I would be embarrassed. I would be ashamed to be in that condition. So I would definitely want to do something. And if I don't want to do any illegal means of earning my living, I would want to get out of that country. That's what a lot of them are doing. I am not okay to say people should go ahead and risk their life. I'm just giving the reason why these people are doing what they are doing. So hopefully someday these people who are graduating now and they know their rights, not just only for employment, they will be able to stand up for themselves against the system that is oppressing them, against the system that is oppressing their brothers and sisters. Because sometimes it does not have to be you. If I am in the Gambia today and I'm earning a living, and my cousin or a friend of mine is having problem with the law, and our law is unjust, it should be my responsibility, especially if I have a degree in law, to be able to offer my service to these people to defend them. You should not be sitting over there afraid if I defend X, Y, Z, I'm going to have a problem with the government. So the reason they are going to school, the reason they are educated, the reason they take the many disciplines that they have is to be able to serve the country. And in serving the country, you don't only have to do it in your capacity as a government employee. Render your service to the country in a form of a sacrifice if you have to. Do all these things, but they cannot just graduate, sit over there, fold their hands, and the government is not giving them jobs, and they don't want to hold the government responsible or accountable for its shortcomings. I hope someday they will be able to. If not able to revolve, at least speak their mind against the regime that is oppressing them. That is
I hope so too. I hope so too. You definitely mentioned some very, very sensitive things here. When you say a graduate taking the back way, going to Europe, risking their lives, but they're not willing to risk that life to really speak up. We have graduates today, thousands, sitting in the Gambia, jobless. Mr. Saidykhan, you are in front of a group of youths in the Gambia, and you're trying to pitch to them to understand that the problem that we have at hand, it is something that they have to deal with, and it is their responsibility. Speak to them for me.
I went to the University of The Gambia. First of all, I am a Gambian first. I mean, we all can get that off the way to say, hey, everybody can say, oh, you know, Gambia and Senegal are the same. Gambia, Ivory Coast, whatever, all Africans pay the same. Personally, when I stand anywhere and I want to raise my hand, I want to raise my hand to say I am a Gambian first. So if I were in the Gambia and as a youth leader and I'm telling these people, I will let them know that your responsibility in the country is to the Gambia and Gambian people, not the regime. If you graduate from the Gambia or you are in the Gambia unemployed, you should be able to stand up or ask the question, why is my government not able to offer me the platform to be employed? Not in the government service alone, but there should have been skill sets in the skill centers in the Gambia where people can graduate. You don't even have to complete school. As long as, even if you stop at grade 12 or grade 10, 11, you should be able to enroll yourself in these vocational centers or this training center to earn a skill set for you. If we are in this country and our government is not offering these services to us, but they go ahead and give us cash to go and party, we should not be satisfied. If we are in the country and we have our government looking at us, calling us names, calling us lazy, comparing us to other hustlers that are leaving their countries to come to the Gambia and earn a living, they are exonerating themselves of their responsibility as a leadership, as a government, and we should be able to ask these questions. My brothers and sisters, here's my point to you. President Jammeh is not the owner of the Gambia. President Jammeh should not determine your fate and your destiny as a people, as an individual. However, it is his government's responsibility to be able to create an environment for you where you should be able to be free in your country and earn your education and your living. If you are in the Gambia and all you can do is to clap hands with a man who is just throwing biscuits at you, we should be ashamed. Our parents have done everything for us. They educated us. They raised us. They put roofs over our heads. It is our responsibility now and obligation to go ahead and make a living for ourselves and also free these people from the burden that they had all their lives. If you are sitting over there, I am not asking anybody to grab a stick and gun or whatever to go to the streets. But I am not going to applaud anybody or respect anybody who is running over or running after a regime who is only throwing biscuits at you and insulting you and disrespecting you, thinking that you owe them. You do not owe the government of the Gambia anything. You owe the Gambian people everything. If President Jammeh comes to you to tell you, I built high schools for you that PPP did not do, I brought university to you that PPP did not do, ask the president, you gave us all this, now what are we? Are we having the quality things that we're supposed to have from these things? After graduating from school, are you giving us the jobs that we needed to do? If the president is telling you, I built you hospitals, ask him, when my mother got sick and went to the hospital, what was in the hospital that my government got in there? Was the services enough? If the president is telling you, we built you roads, ask the government of the Gambia, where were these funds coming from? If they are coming as loans to the Gambia, know that you and I are the ones who are going to be responsible in paying them. In short, what I am saying is, you do not owe the APRC government anything. You do not owe the government of the Gambia anything. You owe Gambian good people everything and the country of the Gambia everything. My point has been, it is your responsibility to change your destiny. Do not allow Yahya Jammeh to beat you into a guilty whip, telling you, oh, I did this for you, I did this for you, I did this for you, you owe me. No, you do not owe the president of the Gambia anything. Let us change our country, and the responsibility is yours and mine. It is not APRC's, it is not Yahya Jammeh's, it is not Yankuba Collins. Go and change your destiny. The Gambia is not going to change itself. People are not going to come from, foreigners are not going to come to the Gambia and change the Gambia for you. You, the youth, it is our responsibility. Another 5 years of Yahya Jammeh, what we have seen in the last 20 years is probably going to be worse. It is going to be worse than what we have in the last 20 years. It is going to be bad. Should we miss an opportunity to participate in our change process, especially electorally, democratically, when you could do it? Please stand up and participate. This is your chance for you to rid yourself of what is going on in that country.
Well said, Mr. Saidykhan. Obviously, I hear a lot of frustration in your voice, and I think you have spoken well to the youths, and I would hope that every youth, Gambian youth, will have the opportunity to listen to a fellow youth really expressing and speaking to them from the heart. With that said, with all the frustration that is building on, we're going to be obviously changing gears here in a quick second, talking about some current issues, and I'm going to be obviously putting you on the spot, Mr. Saidykhan, to speak about the political obviously season that is, it's a political year in the Gambia, so we'll definitely put you on the spot to talk a little bit about the whole coalition and all of the stuff. But let's take a quick break and enjoy one of Killer Ace's hit single called Frustration. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are listening to the conversation. This is Momodou Krubally speaking with PJ.
Shout out to all my peoples all across the world, all my Africans. I know how you going through that struggle, that frustration. I know what it's like with no food in your stomach. I know what it's like, you know what I'm saying, going through that struggle and that hardship. I know what it's like going to apply for a visa and get rejected. I know what it's like when you lost your moms or your pops or when you lost your only son. I feel your pain, you know what I'm saying? I feel what it's like waking up without a dime in your pocket. Or digger in the hell. You know what I'm saying? We go through that frustration, but it's going to be all good. Let's keep that divine state of mind in your mind, and everything will be cool in your heart. Digala, you know what I'm saying? For all my ghetto people, all my rich people that don't care about the poor people. You know what I'm saying? It's all good though still. Yipai bah. Inshallah. Everyday stress, yes, it leads to frustration. I'm walking down dirty roads which ain't got enough pavement. Waiting for a van, we ain't got no bus station. My peoples are working extra hard until their guts are aching. And at the end of the day, don't get enough payment. I'm feeling like we trapped in a shell like crustaceans. And even on tougher days, we practice enough patience. Stays praying, say inshallah and trust amen. Every day I see innocent kids that need to be fed. Old ladies walking to the market with goods on their head. Every item that we cop is usually bootleg. Every night on BBC I hear another youth's dead. I wonder why they murdered the youth. To keep it verbally true, I wish I never heard of the news. I see children going to school from 8:30 to 2, wearing blue and burgundy suits. Follow the rules but come home with nothing worthy to do. Playing football, hoping to join Alex Ferguson's crew. True. For real. Everyday stress, yes, it leads to frustration.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is the conversation. This is Momodou Krubally speaking with Pata PJ. Mr. Saidykhan, are you with us?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is our Valentine specials. And but we're going to keep it clean, and I'm sure we're going to come back here and speak to Mr. Saidykhan a little bit more about the University of The Gambia, because I think that is where the youth base is, and that is definitely the future of this country. But Mr. Saidykhan, let's just go ahead and switch gears for a quick second here. Obviously, a lot has happened in our nation. Most recently, well, before that, we had Jammeh just overnight just pull us out of the Commonwealth, and nothing happened. And now he just recently announced the Gambia to be an Islamic state. Mr. Saidykhan, what does that mean, an Islamic state? Can you speak to the youth for them to really, is this something that makes sense at all? And do we really understand what it is that Jammeh is talking about, and what the consequences would be if we become an Islamic state of the Gambia?
MB, this is what troubles me. Over the years, for the 21 years that President Jammeh has been in power, he has used force and intimidation to cower us into silence. Everybody has known that. The reason why we are afraid of Yahya Jammeh was not because he was eloquent, was because the man has the powers that he is abusing. He is using force. He has the military on the side, and he also has the law on his side. Now, what makes this one so dangerous is Yahya Jammeh, all along with the force that he uses, with tribalism that he uses, he has added another element to this dimension, which is religion, and that is very, very dangerous. That's why I'm afraid of this whole thing. It's not because of his pronouncement, no. The fact that we have, look, if you look at fanaticism, anywhere you see in this world, all these people who are using religion to cause whatever is going on around the world, they do know exactly what they're doing. The Gambia is 80-90% Muslim. President Jammeh knows this. So he's using it as a political tool, knowing that when he says the Gambia is an Islamic state, whether it is going to be like how Islamic state is going to be, Gambian people will be like, oh, the president is a Muslim now. He said that this country is a Muslim country, blah, blah, blah. And people will fail to respect the rights of the minorities in that country. That is what my fear is. And I remember way back a couple of years ago, a few years ago, when this whole martial law thing was going on in the Gambia, there were times the youth went ahead and attacked the Observer, Daily Observer at some point, and they also even wanted to go and attack the Ahmadiyya in the country when Imam Fati was having some problem with the Ahmadiyya. Can you imagine if the Gambia is an Islamic state now, the president is saying these kind of things, what knuckleheads in the country will be doing? Not only knuckleheads, even people who are imams, but then they play politics. Imagine what they're going to do when it comes to pitching people against each other. That is what my fear is. And in the climate that the world is right now, you have the ISIS, the Boko Haram, and all those things in here. If the president is standing to the wall and disrespecting our constitution, which in the first place says that the Gambia is a secular state, the president is standing to force to say the Gambia from now on is an Islamic state. I do not care what the constitution says. MB, that is what fears me. Now, whether the Gambia is going to be an Islamic state or not, that's not going to be possible. That part does not bother me because one, President Gambia is not the one to do that. Two, we don't even have the structures to do that. Announcing the Gambia as an Islamic state is not going to make it an Islamic state, though it is illegal. Now, here is what my problem is. In the Gambia, the disadvantage that we have is in other countries, say in South Africa when they were having the struggle against apartheid, or in the United States when they were fighting the civil rights struggle, they had people in the country and there were institutions that were fighting with them or alongside in this crusade. In the United States, the courts were here. Martin Luther King and his people will go to the courthouses and they would do sit-ins in there. They would beat them, let dogs on them, and use hose pipes and all that stuff. But they do still have the law on their side. So what they were doing was not illegal. In the Gambia, we do not have a single institution in the country that is holding this government in check. Not even a single one. There is no civil society group in the Gambia that is doing anything in the Gambia to check the government. This is why anything that happens in the Gambia, we run to the opposition. I am not saying we should not do that, and I am not holding brief for them. But I'm speaking on the reality here, which is, if a teacher gets fired at his job, it is not the responsibility of the opposition to stand up for that teacher. If a soldier gets arrested, it is not the responsibility to stand up for that soldier when he gets dismissed. Do you see my drift? Basically what I'm saying is, we have teachers associations who are supposed to stand up for their teachers. We should have association of civil servicemen who should be able to stand up for their own. I am not saying that the opposition cannot advocate for these things. They definitely could. But if you look at the role of the opposition MB, it's not to fight every little thing that is going on in the country. These people sign up to say we want to change government and we want to be the government in waiting. But if we have to come into power, we would do it through elections. It is their responsibility to hold the government accountable. But if we have other institutions in the country, civil society groups, that are holding the thing accountable and they are doing some activities like sitting protests or even processing, challenging these things in courts, our fight would have been easy. This is why our struggle has been so very, very long, has been prolonged, because all the fight or most of the fight is coming from the outside. This is not to not acknowledge what the opposition are doing in the Gambia. They are doing what they could under those conditions, even though everybody knows it's not enough. But the point I'm trying to say is there is not a single institution in the Gambia right now, a vibrant one that can challenge the government on the pronouncement or even violating the constitution of the Gambia. The opposition could have done it, and they did. They wrote it. They spoke about them in their rallies. But that's where they end. See, if people of the Gambia know their rights, it should not even have gotten to that point. People could have taken to the street. The University of The Gambia students could have done it. There would have been constitutional lawyers speaking all about it. There would have been activists saying that, look, the Gambia is a secular state. We want to defend our constitution. We want to protect it. But we also want to defend and protect the rights of the minorities. So pronouncing the Gambia is... pronouncing the Gambia as an Islamic state is a verbal pronouncement, because I saw his speech. When he addressing the Gambia, he says the Islamic Republic of the Gambia. But in books, the Gambia is still a secular state. It is dangerous. The danger is that we have so many knuckleheads in the country. Who is to say that people cannot leave Nigeria and come to the Gambia and want to perpetrate what Boko Haram is doing? Who is even to say even Gambians would not be inspired by what is going on in Nigeria by Boko Haram, and also aided with the pronouncement of the government to go ahead and want to force something on people that is illegal. That is what my fear is. But President Jammeh pronouncing the Gambia as an Islamic state, well, we cannot downplay it, because we have seen a lot of things that he has said in pronouncement and they come to fruition. especially that election year is coming. I'm assuming after the 2016 election, this is when some of these things will make sense. Yahya Jammeh will determine if the Gambia definitely is going to be an Islamic state or not, because he can choose to respect or not respect the constitution, more so now, but more so after he had been given another mandate.
But Mr. Saidykhan, on the flip side, you said there's no strong civil societies on the ground. There's no unions that are strong enough to fight the government. At some point, the opposition is the main voice over there. They have a serious backing numbers-wise. Why is it that when the government or when Yahya takes the constitution in his own hands and changes it, why don't they flex their muscle and say, listen, yes, you're the president, but we also have a serious backing in this country. This is not okay. We demand to have a session with you, and walk up to his office and demand that, since he's refusing to engage them. What is wrong with that?
Well, MB, that sounds very palatable. And honestly, I don't want to be holding brief for the opposition here. But the point I'm trying to make is this. This is the cost of boycotting elections. Whether we like it or not, this is the cost. Yahya Jammeh is a smart person. Politically, he's an idiot as a person, but I think he's pretty smart. Yahya Jammeh knows that he has a majority in the National Assembly, right? He pronounced the Gambia as an Islamic state now. The referendum actually could have been done, which that's fine. But let's look at the other things that have been happening in the Gambia. Changing the laws of the country, he has the National Assembly and the backing of that National Assembly for him to be able to change these things. Now, if anything that has been passed in the National Assembly, they become law, the opposition could hardly do anything about it other than go ahead and protest about it. And that's where it will end. So they do not take, and if you've heard the interview from the gentleman from NRP who is saying that he's been trying to have audience with the president and he's not. When you have a leadership that is arrogant, who does not have any respect for his compatriots, this is what is going to happen. Yahya Jammeh does not have the capacity to listen to these people because he is seeing them as enemies. Now, the opposition in the Gambia, that's why I told you in the beginning, because we do not have any of these institutions in the Gambia. Anything that happens in the Gambia, people look up to the opposition to do it. But MB, we have to understand, when they register their parties, to be leaders of these parties, they are constrained. There are certain things that they sign up for. I am not sure in that includes the defending a teacher when he gets fired from his job. I am not sure it has much to do with like somebody going to the Gambia and getting missing, and it is their responsibility to find that person. Of course, it is their responsibility to raise that issue and take it to the government to say, this is the country, it is your responsibility for you to safeguard anybody in the Gambia, protect lives and property. If somebody comes in the Gambia and gets missing, it is the responsibility of the government of the Gambia to be able to tell people where that person is. If somebody gets arrested in the middle of the night and their family is looking for that person and they go to the police station, it is the responsibility of the police and the state to make sure that person is found. If somebody is arrested and taken to jail, it is the responsibility of the government to be able to have the person appear in court in accordance with what the Constitution asks. Now, if Patel goes to the Gambia and he gets arrested for more than 3 days, what any opposition party can do is like, we are made to understand that PJ comes to this country in here and he's been arrested and he's been in jail for more than 5 days or 3 days. The government should be able, they should advocate for me to be able to for me to be taken to court, but they cannot force the government to have me taken to court. If you see the premise of my argument. What I'm saying is, it is the responsibility of the opposition can raise this awareness, challenge the government on them, but then they do not have any more powers to force the government's hands into doing anything. Now, if we want to say that they can go to the streets and protest, they can do that. That's absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that. But MD, we have to understand one thing. There is a difference. The Constitution of the Gambia guarantees peaceful procession, peaceful protest. This is not to scare anybody, but that's the fact. It is not. It is once that peaceful protest turns violent, or the motive of the protest is to change the government, then it becomes illegal. And I guarantee you that these people, they know that one too. I am not saying that they should not take to the streets and do it. But if it comes to taking to the streets, I assume Gambians should be able to organize themselves and not wait on the opposition leaders who we know clearly came and told us that they don't even have any plans to be doing that. Mr. Dabo told us. Khalifa told us. Not even a single one. Oye is the only one who said that they will consider that option, that he wouldn't mind taking to the streets. But already the main players in the thing who have been pretty active told us that they do not have any plans of doing that. we should not be leaving all these things to the opposition. But again, I can understand why we're doing it, because they're the only ones in the country that have the little bit of a leverage to stand on a political platform and say this. But things that they would say on the political platform and once they would say in the streets would be different. What they would say on the street as a political person, as a political party leader, might get them in trouble, but when they say it on a political platform might be different. The point I'm trying to make is this, MB. Obviously, yes, we can count on the opposition parties to do this. But it is a shame that a whole country, we can only resort to our political parties to do these kind of things for us when we had other options in doing it. What is wrong with people in... Yes.
Mr. Saidykhan, I get it, and you sound very politically savvy, okay? The opposition on the ground right now, obviously abiding by the Constitution, they're doing everything right. But, Jammeh is not playing by the rules. Are they going to have to wait every 5 years to contest elections, or do they have to come up with a plan B? Because we all know that what is happening in the nation is wrong. The politicians, if they're just going to wait for every 5 years, what is the point of really waiting for every 5 years? We know that Yahya is going to win the election each and every time by skewing the playing ground towards his, to favor him. Why is the opposition there if they keep getting defeated? Should they come up with plan B, given that this guy wakes up overnight, changes the Constitution overnight, he arrests people, tortures people, kills people? I mean, what are they there for? 21 years.
This has been my frustration with the opposition. I don't think they should have been waiting for every 5 years for them to be active. Anytime you are a leader of the opposition party and you're sitting to wait like until election cycle for you to say something, you are giving people the right or reason to question your motive as to why you are a leader of a party. I totally get it. If I lead a party, I shouldn't only be interested in that in the political process when the election cycle comes. Now, this year, though, I have seen things to be very different because I have seen engagements from DOI and UDP way before the election cycle starts. That's fine. But then again, when it comes to whether there should be a plan B, maybe there should be plan A, B, C, D, up to E. They cannot. They don't just have to wait until election cycle and do these things. Look, I am all okay for these people going out on the streets and protest. In fact, that's what I would want. Can you imagine if Ousainou Darboe calls his supporters to go to Westfield? They don't even have to head to Banjul. Say something happened in the Gambia. Let's say when President Jammeh announced pronounced that the Gambia is an Islamic state, Ousainou Darboe said, "Hey, I'm calling on every Gambian who is against this thing. Come out in the Gambia. Let me make it clear to you that what President Jammeh is doing is illegal. Let them go to Westfield. They don't even have to advocate for a change of government, but let them just go over there and protest to show that what the president was doing was illegal, and they're not gonna accept it." Can you imagine the kind of signal that we send to the president? What I'm saying is the opposition in the Gambia have not at any point, as far as I'm concerned, yet done anything that is going to send a signal to President Jammeh to say, whatever you are doing, we are ready to face you and we are going to challenge it to a point that we are willing and ready to take it to you, even to the streets. Basically, they have never shown President Jammeh that there will be consequences of his actions or pronouncements. It has never happened. This is why President Jammeh is not respecting them, because if he knows that he does something, what is going to happen? They will run to the newspapers and write something in there, or come to the online radios outside the Gambia and talk to us. That's the only consequence of his actions. He will continue doing the same things. I am with you. It is the responsibility of the opposition to galvanize their support, to let them know that, look, we want to challenge President Jammeh on X, Y, Z. And I guarantee if DOI, PPP or NRP or UDP call their people to the streets to go and protest something, I guarantee you they will get somebody. It doesn't even have to be violent. Make a noise about something. Let the international community know what is going on in the Gambia. It's not right. But our opposition are even afraid to engage the international community on what's going on in the Gambia. For God's sake, we have BBC. We have Voice of America. Every once in a while, grant an interview. It doesn't have to be something going on in the country. Something doesn't have to happen for you to be reacting. Be proactive. Invite the international media to the country and address them on what is going on in the Gambia. Let the world know that you are not just sitting and folding your hands waiting for the election cycle to get there. If there is a need. If there is a need, I guarantee you I am okay, and I really, really endorse this. There's nothing wrong with the opposition taking to the streets and protest what is going on in the Gambia. They should be able to exercise those rights and let Yahya Jammeh know. Because in as much as they are afraid of Yahya Jammeh, individually, Yahya Jammeh is not afraid of any of these people. But as a collective, the man is scared to death of what Gambians are capable of doing. He knows it. That is why he's flexing his muscles. So I'm with you. It is a weakness on the side of the opposition that they're exploiting that part of what they could have been doing within their legitimate or legal limits, legal boundaries. They should be able to do that.
Thank you, young man. You really spoke well about this whole opposition thing. But we, again, ladies and gentlemen, must make it very clear. This is not an attack on the opposition. This is ordinary Gambian citizens speaking. Hopefully, when the opposition or their supporters listen to this conversation, they will just understand that all we're doing is just speaking out. And I think this is more to help the opposition to really understand how the Gambian is thinking. And that is also the main focus of this whole program of the conversation is we want ordinary Gambians to come and speak on issues, express how they feel. And this is just another medium where we can really, talk to each other, talk to the government, and also talk to the opposition to let them know what we have come to expect of them. But, PJ, before we switch over to the next session, it's already an hour into the program. Obviously, in the next session here, another 15 minutes before I let you go, thank you so much for your time. We're going to be talking about the 2016 elections that is coming up here in a little bit. And obviously, that has to do with coming together and, something about relationships, Badia. We're going to go ahead and listen to Balarangs here for a quick second, take a quick break, get some water. You seem to be getting really hot, and then we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Momodou Krubally in conversation with PJ. Thank you.
Nalina badia dina badia why badia after badia why badia nabang badia why badia Gambian badia why when I fall in my love tell them bad kilente alenga nyobunya nakonante apainka sipa tampansa umanya tamalu tema manafali majanna tulindi bakile Nita tabanibu tuludemo balingilente Nita tajawa tuludemo balingilente Nita tabasa tuludemo balingilente Birikano fubina Munaling badia dina badia why badia after badia.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the conversation. This is Momodou Krubally speaking with Mr. PJ. PJ, are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
Young man, thank you once again for really accepting my invite here, and I hope anybody that's listening, when the call comes or that text message to invite you to the conversation, that you will take the time to really come and speak with us. Let your voice be heard. That is what every Gambian citizen has a right to have their voice heard. And we do have lots of mediums, and this is just one of them where we're inviting each and every one of you. You don't have to wait for an invitation. You can always reach out to us, and we will bring you here when time allows and have you speak to the Gambian people. Mr. PJ, that music was Mr. Balarangs, my Basset brother, so just a little plug in here. I hope you did enjoy those tunes.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Pata, let's speak a little bit of politics here. 2016. I believe in a month, every political party needs to register in order to contest for the upcoming December elections.
Okay.
Given what has happened in the election laws that were skewed towards helping Jammeh, and all these 21 years, all these things that have happened where Jammeh has constantly stolen elections, should the opposition use their resources to register and comply with the new election reforms?
MB, before I get there, because shortly before we went on break, there was something that you were talking about. I think I want to say a thing or two about that, which is you were advising the political party surrogates that this is not an attack on the opposition. Well, me, I don't like making even those kind of disclaimers anyway, because anybody who knows me will know that I have always ride with this opposition and I have ride for them. I would rather hold them accountable, and I would love to hold them accountable. I would love to challenge them. So if people should not be seeing those things as an attack. But even if people do, I think it is best sometimes for the party supporters to sometimes fall back a little bit. If it is everybody's responsibility. Look, sometimes we have a problem. We always have a problem when somebody you hold dearly, something gets said against them which you don't like. You are tempted to address that. We get it. But then there has to be a limit in how we do these things. Look, if I want to hold our Senator accountable, Halifa Saleh accountable, OJ accountable, that should be my right as a Gambian. I understand that it should be different from attacking them, which I get. But in your defense of these people, we also have to be careful to know that, look, we are looking for votes. Your party is looking for votes. It is not just people within your party that you will want. You also want outsiders, those who are sitting on the fence, or even those, especially those within the APRC, to jump ship and come and join you. So if something is said against your party or your party leader or a friend of yours, Gambians should be able to draw a line between these things and not make them personal. Now, when it comes to the opposition and complying with this rule, look, MB, a couple of years ago, let's say 2 years ago, I was one to tell people like it was going to be a waste of time for us to go to elections with President Jammeh, simply because I did not think the conditions were favorable enough for us to mount a serious challenge for the presidency. And I'm not even going to say that even now I still believe that with the conditions the way they are, even if Yahya Jammeh had conformed to the electoral reforms that the opposition are putting forward, it is going to be hard for an opposition to be an incumbent, especially with a fragmented opposition. Now, for the fact that they made it very, very clear to us to say that they don't want to boycott the elections, I think they should be able to go ahead and comply with the IAC regulations. Now, the problem here is the leadership of the IAC, the chairman who is occupying an illegal seat. That's what my thing is. You cannot be a chairman of a body when you are illegally occupying a body and you still want to enforce laws. I am not a lawyer. I don't know how they're going to deal with that, but that's one thing that needs to be addressed. But if you ask me, yes, they should be able to, they should conform to it, go ahead and register their parties. What is crucial after that would be what is going to come after that. If they do make up their mind to contest the elections, that is the most crucial part. And this is when we strategize what do we need to do to be the incumbent. But to be specific, yes, I think they should just go ahead and conform and go ahead and register their parties.
Now, I believe, Pata, obviously, you said something had changed in the last 2 years where you really believe that they should register and participate. Do you think that the politicians as individual parties do have the financial resources and the manpower to put up an effective campaign to be able to put up a good fight? And I don't want to talk about coalition here in a second. I just want you to individually look at these political parties. Do they have the funds and the manpower that is required for them to, put up a good fight against Yahya Jammeh?
You see, MB, the simple answer is this. Personally, when I look at these political parties one by one, I like each to see individually and see what it is. I don't think any of them have the resources to mount a serious campaign against the regime. If you ask me, that's how I would say. Here is why. Just like any other country in Africa, maybe in Nigeria and all that stuff, we have seen these millionaires and billionaires financing their own campaigns and all that stuff. The Gambia, unfortunately, we do not have any of these parties. So far, none of these party leaders is rich enough to say that they can successfully run a campaign against President Jammeh. And unfortunately, when you look at African parties, the Gambia, to be specific, the founders of these parties or the secretary generals or the leaders of these parties are the ones sustaining these parties. Most of them get it from their own pockets, right? So if you ask me, the APRC has an advantage in that because President Jammeh is doubling as the head of the APRC and head of government. So there is not a line drawn between the government of the Gambia and the APRC. So even if APRC do not have money, it's easy. They can still use the state resources and then run a very healthy campaign, or a very, very good one, right? Our people do not have the opportunity to do this. None of these parties in the Gambia have the resources, the financial resources to be able to challenge. Maybe the manpower is fine. They can always have that. They can always have the supporters. And they can always have volunteers and all that. But the money is not there for them to be able to register their parties, sponsor their candidates, go ahead and tour the country, find vehicles, tour around, open up and down. And all. They do not. None of them has the capacity to do that. None. And I have not even seen their books. It is very obvious. All of these parties, they depend on the support from the outside. They have surrogates. We all have we are all sympathizers here and there. When they need something, they reach out to us, and we dip our hands in our pockets and we do it. And mostly, it's the same donors that they have. So if you ask me, the only guaranteed source of income they have is the support that they're getting from outside their supporters outside the country.
No, Pata, in your answer to this question, you mentioned that in places like Nigeria, you have multi-millionaires and billionaires that finance their own campaign, they rise up, they support political parties. We do have wealthy Gambians, millionaires and even billionaires in the Gambia. But in most cases, Gambians are like, don't let anybody know that you have this much, don't let the government know. What would it take for the wealthy to come out and really understand that part of their responsibility as citizens, especially the fact that they're wealthy, is to be able to fight for the common voice? What would it take for the wealthy in our nation to really speak up like the Pata PJs and the Coach Pasa Majawas?
Selflessness. Gambians will have to move away from being, this is not, we have to learn, we should be able to learn to understand, to say this is not about me, it's about us. Look, every day we have seen when these people attack, they will tell Banker, oh, Banker, look at you didn't do this, that. They will tell, hey, Coach, look at you're just wasting your time protesting. Oh, Pata PJ, look at you're sitting over there, you couldn't even do anything, you didn't even graduate from school, you're running your mouth over politics. This is what Gambians are best at, and it is scaring the people. We need to be able to have that national identity, like identify ourselves with our country to say, look, whatever I am doing, I am going to sacrifice for my country. But MB, this is where an environment that we are living in the Gambia, where we have a total dictatorship, this is what it breeds. Everybody is covered into silence. If I were a millionaire today, I really would not be scared to put my resources where I think is going to be helpful in effecting change in the Gambia. I don't know if there are many millionaires inside the Gambia, I don't know, but if there are, I guarantee you today, every one of those people, what they are doing, the first thing they do is to pick up a car when campaign comes and to brand new vehicles and give it to President Jammeh for his campaign, because that is the safer route. They know that it is easier and costless for them to be associated with President Jammeh or than find themselves associated with any of the opposition, because of the risk that President Jammeh can come and jump on their business, shut them down, or even charge them for some foolishness and send them to jail. But these are the risks that nationals have to assume. Anywhere you have seen, there are people put up their lives for these things. I'm not saying risk your life and go get killed. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is if you have the resources, you should be able to support these parties. If you're not able to do it in the public, finance them on the law. Nobody is going to know. MP, we have gotten to a point now, everybody should be able to dip your hand somewhere. If you're not able to get a penny in your pocket, pick up a pen and say something, or pick up a mic and say something. We should be able to do something if we want to change this country. If you are rich and you are in the Gambia or even outside, do something, contribute to what you could, and make sure you participate or contribute to the change agenda in 2016. We cannot all be afraid, MB. Individually, I can understand, but put your weight behind a party. There is a reason. The conspiracy theory that Ahmad Sane was rich and was the one sponsoring the APRC, the UDP, and President Jammeh, the APRC government or the government of Gambia find a problem with him and send him to jail, could not be far-fetched. It's very, very possible. So a lot of the people who are in the position to help these parties might probably look at it and say, hey, look what happened to Ahmad Sane could happen to me. But Ahmadi is sitting in prison with a clear conscience to say what he was doing was the right thing because he was contributing to what he was supposed to do in the country. So to those people who are free now running their businesses, Ahmadi is in a better position than them when it comes to his conscience or their conscience. So this is what people need to start doing. Let's be a little selfish. Everything that you've seen, anybody who chose, I keep telling people, when people keep asking me, oh, PJ, you cannot come to the Gambia, I was like, look, the day that I decided to speak up in the open against the government of the Gambia, I assume that risk that there are chances that I will not go to the Gambia when President Jammeh is there. But it does not bother me. It saddens me that I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is speaking against the government, and I'm not even accusing them of anything that they're not doing. That I am here afraid that when I go to the Gambia, something is going to happen to me. When people have these kind of feelings, we are not going to go anywhere. It is called a sacrifice. Dr. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X will be sitting with the family, and they will firebomb the house when his family was sleeping in there. He did not run and leave this country to go on exile. Every little thing that happens in the Gambia, somebody will say something and they'll come to you. Oh, I heard you say X, Y, Z, and everybody is running and living in the country. I am not saying don't protect your right, your life and your family. I'm not saying that. But at some point, we should be able to stand up and defend ourselves against a system that is evil. If I am sitting here comfortable to say I'm not going to say anything in here today, tomorrow they will go for MB, the next day they will go for somebody else. A day after, they're coming for me. So before you worry about what is happening in somebody else's, before you worry about what is going to happen to your house, worry about what is happening in your neighbor's house, because the fire is coming to you. So if I am wealthy and I know I have the opportunity to help these political parties, I would have done it. If you're afraid that you don't want to be associated, do it in another way. Somebody should be able to step up. MB, we cannot leave all these responsibilities to individuals leading these parties.
Indeed.
That's what it is. It's sad, and that's not just financially, even intellectuals. We have seen people educated in the United States and the UK. They will go to the Gambia. The first thing they will do is, if they don't want to work for the government, they will try so hard to do anything that anybody is going to see them associated with the opposition in the country, or just anything that is going to remotely seen as anti-government. What is the point in our education? What is the sacrifice that we're giving our countries? We have youth in the Gambia. That's why I was so proud when I heard Banka interview that young man in the Gambia who is in his 30s, and he came out to say that he's a PPP supporter. That is why I am so glad when I hear Solo standing all the time speaking on platform defending the UDP. There has to be people who will want to put their faces up in here. We can sit in here and blame these opposition leaders to say, oh, they don't want to leave the power. They don't want to leave power. I am not saying that that's not true. But MB, we have not seen a youth now that is coming up to be a political head in the Gambia to say, oh, XYZ is the Gambia's Obama. Obama, in the sense that Obama in 2004, when he gave that speech at the Democratic Convention, it was powerful. Everybody knows where he was heading to. But Gambians are not doing that. We are not having anybody coming up wanting to even volunteer to say, look, Mr. Dabo, Mr. Sala, or Mr. Jallo, I want to challenge you guys to this leadership. I want to join your party, and I want to ascend to the leadership. We should be able to nourish this culture or cultivate this culture of responsibility and leadership to be able to take something or go for something when you want to. The fear that MB, if somebody comes up today, personally, let me take an example with me. If I want to take an initiative today, I want to go to the Gambia to say, okay, I'm going to the Gambia and I want to join PPP, and I want to be a leader. You know what the first thing Gambians are going to do? Pada wants to be a president. He's lobbying to be a president. What is wrong with that? I am a Gambian just like anybody else. We have to move away from this idea of you cannot promote yourself. When you do something, people are seeing you as promoting yourself. What is wrong with stepping forward and wanting to be a leader of something? Why are we so afraid of those kind of charges to say, oh, he wanted a place, he wanted a position, that's why he's doing X, Y, Z. As long as it has not been selfish and you are doing it for the right reasons, do not allow those kind of criticisms to stop you from doing. If you have the resources or even the intellect to help these parties, step forward and do it. We need to be able to. If you have the capacity to open a civil society group in the Gambia, do it. By all rights, the Gambia should have a Duga by now. There should be a chapter in the Gambia that should be kind of like a Duga. When there is a protest in there, they go in there, or if they are dissatisfied with something, they go and do it. But everybody is playing safe politics. Everybody is just looking for themselves instead of the country. And it's sad.
Indeed. You made a very good point when you said that the first thing you do is once you start speaking up, and when people hear you, the first accusation that comes out is so-and-so wants to be president, we all want to be leaders. But I think that when we refuse to take up that responsibility is the reason why we end up with people like Yaya oppressing us for 21 years. And I hope that every Gambian out there, when you're attacked so cheaply that way, that you will stand up and defend yourself, that it is each of our responsibilities to do whatever it takes, if it means stepping into the role of leadership, to ensure that the Third Republic does not end up with a dictatorship. You talked about the young gentleman that Banka invited on his program, the young PVP. I believe he wants to run for office or so. But before we get to that, PPP of late has been very active, and they are in the news. They are the hottest thing in the news right now. Given their activities right now, would you say they're helping the opposition, or are they hurting the opposition? And I say this because we all know UDP is a product of PVP. If PVP all of a sudden becomes active, are they sharing those votes? Are they taking their votes back from UDP? And is that a risky move on their part, or should they continue on doing what they're doing?
MB, this is the part that sound bites become very critical. And I am going to be honest in here. So whoever is going to quote me, I hope they see the context in which I am using this. First of all, I would definitely want to say OJ has been doing a good job. But when you look at the previous activities, for the past 21 years, I think this is the second one that they had done, as far as I'm aware. They celebrated it was Gambia's 50th anniversary or whatever, the rally that they had in Brikama. That was the first one, and then this is the second one. So the first one was not too big, but this one is huge because they had like 3, 4, 5 rallies or something, and it was the wave. So let's see how they're going to proceed from there. And I hope they continue. That's fine. Now, I am a big fan of political pluralism. Up to me alone in a democracy, there's nothing wrong with having many political parties. We can do that. All these parties can come up and they have their very many candidates and their very many programs. Let them go ahead and sell their ideas to the people. There's nothing wrong with that. However, the Gambia situation right now does not necessitate that many political parties. We don't need it. We do not. Now, if we're in a democracy where the platform is, the playing field is level, people can definitely go around and form their parties and everybody contests, you sell their ideas and people buy into them or not buy into them. Now, as it is right now, I am not saying this against the PPP. And then Fatma Tambajan said it too, that he felt that PPP should not have revived their parties at this time. If you ask me, what they are doing right now is good in engaging the people, but it could also cause a bigger problem in that there could be a friction between these parties, because now it is the same opposition who are fighting over the same votes in here. When Mr. Jallo was going on a campaign, I think I listened to him somewhere saying that when he goes on a campaign, he want to make this point to tell these people that if these parties come over here and tell you guys to vote for them, tell them that let them go back and come in a coalition, because that's the only way Yajami is going to go. But as the campaign proceeded, I listened to a couple of his interviews, and he was telling them that vote for PPP, which is okay. He's supposed to do that. UDP has been doing it, DOI has been doing it, NRP has been doing it. That's fine. My only fear is that when they go to the negotiation tables now, all these parties might probably fight a totally different battle now, and the chances of them coming together to put up a one candidate against President Jammeh might be hard. That's just my only problem right now. But other than that, whether they're going to take some of the support base of the UDP or the NRP or the DOIs, that's okay. I think they can battle them out, because eventually, if there's a chance that they come together to fight one candidate, I mean, that means all these votes are collectively just going into one ballot. So that should not be a problem. I like political pluralism, but if you ask me, I don't think there's a need for all these political parties as we have right now.
Mr. Saidykhan, can a united front defeat Yahya Jammeh at the polls, given the current election laws?
Yes. And this is what changed my position, MB. First of all, I have been an advocate for. Initially, I was like, I think I even had a Facebook post about that to say it was a waste of time for us to go to 2016 election. This was in 2014 or something. I was saying something like that. But here is what changed my mind. I understand the argument, people saying that when we go to elections, we are going to legitimize Yahya Jammeh. I understand this argument. But MB, elections is not the only way to legitimize somebody. Yahya Jammeh, when he won the 2011 elections, he went on the platform and tell Gambians that I'll be more dangerous now than I was when I was in uniform. He said it, right? What did he do? He went ahead and killed prisoners. He killed them extrajudicially, judiciously killed them. What are he doing? People are still missing in the Gambia. People are getting arrested. People are getting tortured. People are getting fired. All those things are happening in the Gambia. And the international community knows what President Jammeh is doing in that place. But it is the same people, the same countries have their diplomats in those countries.
They have their ambassadors, their consulars and all that. They are all in the Gambia. If President Jammeh's regime was not legitimate, I don't think they would be putting those ones in there. And we cannot just credit the 2011 elections with that. Look, basically what I'm saying is there is more to it than just going to the election and somebody winning. Now, if we say that we are going to legitimize President Jammeh, what are our other options? I have seen people throw in the idea of a civil disobedience. There's nothing wrong with civil disobedience. But look around the world, especially in Africa. You can count on your fingers how many times have a civil disobedience dislodged the government. Obviously, there's an awareness about it. Things will happen. The only two places that everybody knows, that as far as I know, especially in West Africa, has been Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast, right? That's what I know. Now, in all these other places, when you see Burundi, what is happening in there? Civil disobedience. People are dying. What did the AU did? They went over there to discuss deploying troops in there, and then some other people, including our own government, our own president, is telling them, no, we cannot because Burundi is not giving us the permission. They're not invited. If you and I are fighting, and I am beating on you, I have the advantage, the upper hand over you. Why would I call somebody to come and rescue you? It does not make any sense. In this case in here, the Burundi government are the aggressor. You do not expect them to have AU to say, hey, I'm killing my own people, come and save them from me. This is where the AU bequeath its responsibility, and it's very sad. MB, if we say that we're gonna take a civil protest, that's fine. We can go do a civil protest, and we go to the streets and Westfield. Let's even say, I don't think they'll even let us in Banjul, but let's just go to Westfield. We go burn a few places down and then make a statement. The Jammeh is not going to step down because of that. He's not going to. So there has to be a legitimate plan. There has to be an alternative, a viable alternative to election for me to say we should not give election a chance. And one other reason is I feel if the opposition come together in the Gambia. Look, if you look at the people who are abstaining from voting in the Gambia, the voter apathy has simply been that the Gambian the voters will be like, you know what, there is a waste of time for us to go and vote, go to elections because these people are not going to win against Yahya Jammeh. All those people voting for Yahya Jammeh, not every one of them love him, but because they don't have any option, and some of them are afraid that if they don't go to vote, they might get in trouble, they went and give him the votes. I am not sitting here saying that President Jammeh did not steal the elections. I'm not saying that. But I can guarantee you most of the votes that he has, people voted for him. All these things that we're talking about, electoral irregularities, malpractice, and all that, all of these they happen in African politics is there. In the Gambia, it is prominent. However, I believe that when this opposition come together and put their resources together and put up one candidate and throw the country together, if not even together, say this one leads for like 3 weeks and the other one follows them and they throw the country that way and they tell to the people the reason why President Jammeh is not best for them. I guarantee you so many people will make up their mind against voting President Jammeh. They will instead give their voice to an alternative candidate. Now, the key here is this. Even without the electoral reforms, I have a feeling that now that we have an on-the-spot counting, if this will come together and they told the country 2-3 times before the election and presented a candidate to say this is the one we want everybody to vote against President Jammeh. Like Doi says the same thing, PPP said the same thing, UDP said the same thing, NRP, GMC. I guarantee you, MB, we are going to give President Jammeh a good run for his money. And all these charities say that they're getting people from customers to come and vote. I'm not saying this is not happening. But whatever it is, I do not think sincerely this is more than 10,000-20,000 people coming from customers to come register in the Gambia. If it is 10,000-20,000, we have more Gambians in the country than that. Now, if we go to the election and President Jammeh won by less than 50,000, we can draw a huge margin of error to say this election is not fair because of X, Y, Z, and that gives us an opportunity for us to go on the streets and demand that the president leaves. This has been my caveat all along when it comes to elections. It is just beyond going to cast your votes. All these things that we're talking about, people going to the streets, nobody is going to organize it, MB. The only time Gambians have the opportunity to talk freely about politics or even have a congregation or gathering of more than 1,500 people is the campaign period, the election cycle. 2016 is what we have. It's not just the polls. We have the opportunity to take to the streets. We have the opportunity to force the government and let President Jammeh know that we are not playing with him. The opposition has a role to play in this, and I'm disappointed. I am very disappointed now that the registration is going on and they are still not making a lot of noise flexing their muscle around that period. That has been my disappointment more than them not able to present a candidate to us for now, because I believe that we still have a lot of time to the elections.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saidykhan. Once again, you're definitely on point. But for this opposition to happen, for this united front to happen, the opposition have to come together. PDOI has said, get out there, talk to the Gambian people, let them get their message, then we can come and pick a leader. UDP said that we are the majority when it comes to the opposition, to be a party-led coalition. What is your take on the two camps?
See, when it comes to the modalities as to how the coalition is going to go, I don't have much to say with that, but I think these parties should be able to strike a compromise. Look, we have like how many parties? 6, 7 parties in the Gambia. So I don't know how I know they have been peddling the idea of a primary. They made that very, very clear. UDP's position I really don't know, because I think I heard somebody say that was never UDP's position, but I really don't know. But let's even say that's the position of the UDP to say they want party-led, and those say they want primary. There are 5, 6 other parties in here who also have a say. So the thing is not just with the two of them. So that means if they go to the negotiation table, there will be 7, 8 heads sitting over there, and in these two positions cannot just be the prominent one. So I will trust the leaders of these parties to iron these things out as to what the modalities of the thing would be. What would be a mistake is if everybody wants to stick to your position to be like, it's my way or the highway. That would be very, very disappointing. And if that happens, that party will never be forgiven by the Gambian people. Because what is at stake right now is more than what any political party is going to lose in the process. It's a coalition. Come together for only one term. After that, we regulate things. You guys can go your different ways. So if DOI or UDP want to hold that position, I expect the NRP, PPP, GMC, GPDP, and all the other parties to come up with their position too and see. It's a democracy. They should be able to reach a common ground.
Thank you. Mr. PJ, thank you once again for your time. Obviously, I had only asked for an hour of your time. It's already about an hour and a half. Very well-spoken young man. Really proud of you for really stepping up to the plate. And I think anybody that listens to this conversation will be very proud that we do have very sensible, prominent young men like you, well-spoken, that are not hesitant to speak their position. And I encourage you to continue on doing this. When I asked you to speak to the Gambia University students, the youth, you did an excellent job. Here you are, Mr. PJ, in front of the opposition. You're a young Gambian, 21 years. Time is running out. You're pleading to them to come together. You're telling them what are your reasons, what are your selling points to these leaders for them to strike a deal.
The Gambia is bleeding. The Gambia is bleeding, and we're bleeding so profusely that it's not just one person feeling it. When you look at the hardship in the country today, we all go to the same markets. If you are a leader of the political party, perhaps you eat like a dinner and lunch in your house consistently every day. But look at your neighbor. Look at your neighbor's neighbor. Look at the other person in the villages in Jaya and see if they're having the same thing that you're having right now. You enjoy this privilege of wanting to be able to stand on a political platform and say something against the government without being snatched. My mother in the village or my uncle does not enjoy that opportunity. Look at your brother, the other one at the job who is just getting fired tomorrow because of quote-unquote his association with you as a leader of the political party or as a political party. You cannot feed their families. The Gambia is at a position that none of these party leaders or their parties are going to lose more than what the Gambia is losing. It is not going to happen. And as much as you love yourself and love your party and love your followers, put the Gambia first. There is no need for us to bicker about these things. We can argue and debate them on these tables. But for us to be able to come together and fight for a common goal should not be a problem because we already know what our problems are. The only difference we have in here is how do we get to our destination. But the destination is clear. How we get there is the problem. The roadmap has always been there. Everybody knows our way out to salvation is for these people to come together and put up one front against the argument. Now, whether we are going to take a boat, a bicycle, or a vehicle to get our destination, that's what the problem is. If you're leading a party or you have a voice in a party, please, please, please prevail on your people. Have a conversation with your colleagues. Tell them that we have more at stake now. We cannot afford to miss this opportunity. You are not doing it for yourself. You are doing it for the Gambia. And in doing it for the Gambia, you are doing it for yourself. It is a cycle. It goes around. It's revolving. If you stay in there and we miss this opportunity, you in the Gambia as leaders of these political parties and even the political parties, you might be distinct. Another 5 years of Yahya Jammeh, he is not going to be playing with you guys because he knows every year his popularity goes down. This is the opportunity that you have. Do it for the Gambia. It is not about you. It is not about your party. It is about the Gambia as a nation and her people. The 1.89 million people that are in the Gambia suffering today with nothing to turn on to. This is why even if somebody gets sick, we blame the opposition or we count on the opposition to help. You are our last resort. Come together. Form a political coalition. Give President Jammeh the thing a fight. All you got to do is come together and leave the rest to the voters. Then we will make our choice. We will definitely make our choice. For me personally, I have been doing it. Look, I engage the youth, if I could. All of my friends who will tell me, yo, PJ, why is it that anytime you call, all you talk about is politics? I'm like, politics is your life. Your livelihood depends on it. If President Jammeh stands up today to say you cannot pray tomorrow, he is interfering with your right to worship. If President Jammeh comes and tells you that the Gambia is an Islamic state, you as a Christian, he is intruding on your right as a Gambian. If President Jammeh tells you and comes and tells you that you cannot buy a bag of rice for nothing less than $1,000, that is politics. If they're building schools for you and there are no teachers in there, that is politics. Your health, if you go to the hospital and all you have is paracetamol, or they have to sign something for you, prescribe something for you to go and buy it, that is politics. I'll give you an example, MB. When my mom was sick, my mom first went to the RVH. It was tough. There wasn't anything there. We had to take her to the private hospital. It was expensive. An average Gambian who is a civil servant cannot afford that. I don't get it. It was thousands and thousands of dollars in the Gambia. Who in the Gambia making even $10,000 can afford that? It is politics. If we change the Gambia, if we are able to change this regime and usher in a new one, a democratic government, you can go and open your own business and compete with PJ. You can go ahead and open school, a private school, and compete with the government of the Gambia. But as long as we have this regime in there, that is not going to happen. My appeal to the opposition is, I know you know these things more than me. Because I refuse to believe people saying that there's a lot of differences, irreconcilable differences between these leaders of the parties. I refuse to believe it because I didn't see any reason. Of course, I am not sitting here to say that dissolve your party and join together and have one party. I'm not saying that. I understand there's a difference. Established parties, for you to say like close yours, stop you, extinct yours and join this other one. I am not saying that. All I'm saying is understand the plight of Gambians today. We are dependent on you guys to come together and do the right things for the many Gambians. Do not let us down. Don't let us down, man.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saidykhan. You spoke well, young man. Really proud of you. I know that, like I said earlier, I had only asked for an hour of your time. We're about almost 1 hour, 35 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Momodou Krubally, the conversation with Mr. Pata PJ on this wonderful Valentine's evening. And we have the main man, Mr. PJ, around here. Pata, my final question to you before I let you go, and then obviously I will give you an opportunity to say a word or two to the people that will listen to this video. When Yahya Jammeh introduced the headscarf, I knew he was headed for trouble. Quickly, he backtracked. Black women and their hair, and he asked them to cover it. What was your take when Jammeh asked our beautiful women to cover their beautiful hair? I'm sure you did not like that. What was your take on that?
How can I? I love beautiful hair on black women, man. I do love it. But the thing is,
let's keep it clean.
No, but what I'm saying is like I was surprised that he retracted because and the only reason why I think he did was because of the noise that was coming from the outside of the borders of the Gambia. Because as far as I understand, I did not hear a single person in the Gambia who spoke up against this one. But for the fact that we made a lot of noise about it, and then international newspapers picked it up and all that stuff, President Jammeh would definitely have to feel the pulse of Gambians and say, you know what, this is not a popular idea. But he had done so many other things that were never popular, and he stuck by them. The thing is, it was never thought out. And President Jammeh, he does this a lot. He would just sit up and just make a pronouncement as if somebody who is kind of bipolar and those things. Not respect to anybody with bipolar, but then he is so indecisive. That's what I meant to say. So I was surprised that he retracted. So that goes to show that when we make a lot of noise about these things, President Jammeh hears us. He listens to us. And like I said, individually, this man is not afraid of any Gambian. But collectively, he's scared to death of what we are capable of doing. This is what we need to be doing. If something like this happens, we can make these noises. But sometimes, man, we drill them, beat them down once or twice, and will them go because we are not persistent on them. But if we allow the international community to catch up this news, MB, and they went around the world, yeah, Jammeh is not. He's not that stupid to say, you know what? I'm just let it go. Forget it. So I was kind of surprised that he withdrew on that one. But that goes to show that here is a man who doesn't want a lot of attention sometimes, and he hates confrontation. Maybe that was why a lot of people are saying that we should be a little aggressive in the way we approach President Jammeh on some of his pronouncements. Because if we don't challenge these things, he has the backing of the National Assembly to make them into law. So I was surprised that he retracted, and I was relieved that he did. Not because I wanna see women dressed that way, but then the government of the Gambia, it is not the responsibility of the government to dictate how one should dress and not dress, especially when you have to base that on religion.
Thank you, Mr. Saidykhan. You're so right when you say, yeah, Jammeh does not like confrontation. We've seen that with the cartoon youths. We've seen that now that the opposition is a lot more vocal. He's backing down a little bit, and obviously the diaspora, whenever we speak up, he tends to listen. It just I guess validates your point that we need to collectively speak up, and hopefully that would be the catalyst to bring about change in our country. Young man, I cannot thank you enough for taking your time off and joining us at the conversation here. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, and our intention here is to bring Gambians to really speak them about current issues, and hopefully the conversation will continue, whereas when we find ourselves at that table where we're discussing national issues, the process will be a lot easier. In the next few days after this interview, we will bring you Mr. Coach Pastor Majau himself, Mr. Banka Mane, Chonga, and we've got a great lineup for you. We will continue. If you have something to say, you want to come to this program, feel free to contact myself. You can also listen to a lot of our videos on YouTube. If you just type Momodou Krubally, Momodou Krubally, the conversation, you will see a lot of the videos that we did with the likes of Dr. Jane and former Ambassador Esa Bokar C. I have been trying to bring Tukulor C to this program. She has turned me down a couple of times. I will not stop until she comes back, until she accepts my invite. With that said, Pata, what are your last words to our listeners today? And thank you so much for coming to the conversation.
Thank you, MB. Yeah, I am privileged to have this conversation with you, and I do follow it. And I told you, like, one thing I like about the conversation is it is a conversation. It is not an interview. And that gives people the opportunity to relax and then talk freely. I feel comfortable talking to you, and honestly, from the bottom of my heart, this is how I feel on this position. This is my position on this. I do not sugarcoat anything, and it was never my intention to play down anything. Not that I think I did, but then I'm also glad that I am coming before the bankers, the coaches, and all those people, because dude, like this is a pressure. You put a lot of pressure on me because I have seen your list of people who have been on there before, and it's hard for me to tap that. So now that these people like banker and coach and them are coming before me, it can only go up higher. Now, but my final word is I want to talk to my brothers and sisters in the Gambia. For the past 4 years, you didn't have the opportunity to participate in the change agenda. We do understand. You live in an environment, an atmosphere that is not conducive, and we do understand that. But 2016 is your opportunity. Go ahead and secure your voter's card. Listen, having a voter's card is different from voting. Go ahead and secure your voter's card. In case there is a need for you to use it, you'll be able to use it. That is your voice. Now, if you do secure your voter's card and you do choose to participate in the elections, please, please, please do not sell your voice or your power for a bag of rice. Don't do it. It is not worth it. It is your responsibility for you to save the Gambia. It is my responsibility to save the Gambia. Giving your votes to President Jammeh or selling them is anything but that. And if you secure your voter's card, I am not saying go on the streets and flag it around, oh, here's my voter's card. Encourage the next person to go and get his. When the election comes and you need to vote, you made up your mind to go and vote. Vote for change. We have 1.9 million people in the Gambia. For 21 years, we have one leadership, one person. It is impossible to say the whole of the Gambia, President Jammeh is the most capable. It is an insult for anybody to ask you, if not President Jammeh, who? Look, not disrespect to anybody, but look at the man's level of education. Look at what this man was in professionally before he becomes a president. Nobody ever envied this man to be, I'm not talking about not as a human being, but as a leader in any way, but he came and ruled our country for 20 years, 21 years, going to 22. We have more capable and competent Gambians who can run this country better than President Jammeh. It is you and I's responsibility to change that. 2016 change is in your hands. It is in my hands. Talk to your people. If you're in the diaspora, we all have a voice. We all have a little bit of a degree of control over people in the country. Talk to them. Text them. Continuously peg them, press them, and let them know that the change agenda, they have an option to participate in there, and they should be able to participate. And in that, the reason it is called change is we have to change, move on from where we are into a new dispensation. Let's shift the paradigm. Let's just go. Get this man out and bring somebody in here. I guarantee you the future of the Gambia is bright without Yahya Jammeh. Thank you so much, MB. I am very, very grateful for having me. I hope I did not rant enough. At some point, I know I get a little bit passionate and I was speaking so fast, but I appreciate the opportunity that you accorded me, and then let the conversation continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pater PJ. The conversation is ready. The Gambian people are ready. The question is the opposition ready to take the Gambia to a third republic and move our nation forward? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. The conversation continues.
Angano mutape